Hey everyone, welcome back to Will of the Maker. I just saw Angus from Maker Muse's video about hashtag 3D printing on YouTube, about some 5 questions for the 3D printing community to answer, and I figured I would quickly do my part in that hashtag and get this ball rolling. So here we go. Question number 1, which is, where did I first hear about 3D printing? Well, assuming I already knew about 3D printing before this, but my first experience with 3D printing was around 2011. I was being a co-op during my master's program for a company that had recently purchased a 3D printer. I assume it was a Stratasys or something like that. I think they said they spent $300,000 or $400,000 on it. They showed it to me on my first day as part of the tour and part of the lab where I was working in. And I didn't get to work on it myself, but I do remember some of the prints from it. It was, all black filament, slightly translucent. And I remember thinking how huge the layer lines were at that point. It was very, very cool. I absolutely thought it was the coolest thing in the world. But at the same time, I didn't think the quality was all that great. But it served its purpose, which was quickly prototyping parts. We used it developing products. It was a small vehicle manufacturer, and we used it for developing products, and it was actually very helpful for that. So that was my first experience in 3D printing, at least peripherally. Question number 2 is, which was my first 3D printed part? It was definitely on this guy, which is my old Lulzbot kit Taz, which is basically the kit form of a Taz 4. It had a couple of things missing from it, and it was a kit that took me about 2 days to assemble on my dining room table. This was back in 2014, I believe. And I think the first thing I tried printing on it, which was the Lulzbot theme model, which was the Rocktopus, basically an octopus with I think it was a rock sign on it. Yeah, I think that was what it was. That was the first thing I tried printing. But my first thing that I actually really intended to design for it to print out was this guy right here. This is my old WRX shift knob. I actually made a video about this a long time ago. I'll put a link down below. And it actually did fairly well. Really cool fun fact, Joel from 3D Printing Nerd actually reached out to me on that video. You can probably find his comment on it, seeing if he could make a video about it. And you can actually go through one of his oldest videos making this shift knob for his car. I was really proud of that. I thought it was really cool him to make a video about it. And yeah, early on in 3D printing. Okay, question number 3 is 3D printing a hobby or a tool for me? As an engineer, it has always been a tool for me. I didn't necessarily want to get 3D printers to mod them. For me, it's always been a tool to make things that I wanted to design and thought that I was going to be using either around the house or as a product that I was trying to invent. So that's actually why I got my first 3D printer. Was I had a crazy idea that I was going to develop an aftermarket crash avoidance system that you could put on any car. This was 2014. Not many cars had it, or only luxury cars did, and I wanted to be able to bring it to the masses. Didn't quite work out in the end, but I knew I needed a 3D printer for that goal. And so I got this one basically largely because it was a good quality, but mainly this one in particular because of the build volume. It's a really nice big build volume, and it came very handy to have that build volume, especially XY many times. And so since then, I always was able to design things that we needed around the house. It unlocked creativity that I never expected that I had. Because I was able to just quickly design things and make things and iterate things. And I've always just loved 3D printing because of that, of what it was able to unlock for me. And since then, recently this year, I have started 2 3D printing brands, if you will, serving different niches, one automotive and then one for actually fountain pens of all things, that I've really enjoyed doing. So I'm very, very happy about that. All right, question number 4. What is the best 3D printer? I kind of have 2 answers for this. First one being kind of a cop-out, which is the 3D printer that you own. Just get one, get started. No matter what, you'll be learning a lot, so be open to learning a whole new hobby that's technical, that you really need to give it the time, have some patience. You're gonna have a ton of failures. Be patient and work through it, learn from it, and be able to build further beyond that. The second part of that question, I guess I have a couple different answers. One is what is my favorite experience printer that I've had? Out of the Lullspot, I have a Prusa Mini and then my Wuxin WXR. Honestly, my favorite one so far is the Wuxin WXR. I've had very minimal issues with this printer. It's actually been really good. I've had a lot of issues actually with my Prusa. Of all things, I didn't expect that, but I bought it cheap on Facebook, so maybe that's why. The Lullspot got me through a decade of printing, but almost, with very, very minimal maintenance and issues. So that's been a workhorse. Doesn't stand the test of time in terms of quality and speed compared to nowadays. But in terms of the 3 printers that I have, I would say the Wuxin WXR is my favorite. Beyond that, for printers I don't have, I think Bamboo Labs basically gave the whole 3D printer industry a kick in the groin that it really needed to start revitalizing basically some innovation into the whole world and get high speed, high quality printers that are reliable, out of the box. It's sort of the holy grail of what people thought was going to happen 10 years ago when everybody was going to have a 3D printer, and the whole time I'm thinking, there ain't no way everybody's going to have a 3D printer. These things are way too complicated to figure out and run for most people. But Bamboo Labs really kind of did a good job getting that figured out. But the printer that I'm really, really most excited about would be the RatRig Vcore 4 IDEX. I would absolutely love to have one of those things. Super expensive. I really can't justify it right now. But that's basically my dream printer right now, is the RatRig Vcore 4 IDEX. 400 millimeter. I think that'd be perfect size for me. Question number 5, which is what would be my number 1 tip for beginners getting started in 3D printing? Besides the cop-out of just get started, which is very true, this is a very good question. Make sure you have patience. You're gonna experience print failures. Don't be afraid of them. It's gonna happen. It happens to the best of us. It still happens to me after 10 years. Sometimes things just happen that are out of your control. I had a failure today because basically the roll of filament kind of got lopsided on this thing and it failed about 3 hours into a print. It happens. Don't worry. If you can't figure it out, go on Reddit, go on one of the forums, go on YouTube. The community is great. They're very helpful. Don't be afraid to ask your question, no matter how stupid you might think it is. Really, we're all here to learn. We're all here to help. It's a great community, and don't be afraid to dive right in. All right, so those are my 5 answers for the hashtag 3D printing on YouTube. And I think one channel that I would like to tag in this would be Need It, Make It. Relatively quickly growing channel that does really interesting stuff. If you haven't seen it, go check him out. Need It, Make It. You've been tagged, buddy. Enjoy. Anyway, so those are my 5 answers to this round of hashtag 3D printing on YouTube. Let me know what you think of my answers down below, and I will see you in the next video as soon as I can get time to do it. It's been a busy year. Thanks. I'll see you then. Bye.